everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Now in tonight's video, seeing as many of you enjoyed the conspiracy theories video we did recently, I thought we'd do a slightly bigger one. It has been a long time since we've done kind of like multiple in one video, so that's what we're going to be doing. We've got a decent number of various conspiracy theories. We're going to be spending, between 5 and 10 minutes ish on each one, and hopefully it should be a good time. I've gone for kind of like a mix of like the more known ones and also like a few ones that, I hadn't heard of, so hopefully there should be some interesting ones that you've never heard about. So without further ado, let's get into conspiracy theory number 1. So we begin with our first one, which is Denver Airport, which is a pretty well-known conspiracy theory. Well, multiple theories in one really, but bottom line is apparently it's a dodgy place. So, sinister sculptures and secret bunkers, swastika-shaped runways and murals that point to a new world order, takeover, or alien invasion. And what about those gargoyles hanging out by the baggage claim? Conspiracy theories about Denver International Airport have soared for more than 2 decades, owing to the airport's mix of bold public art, unusual architecture, infamous construction problems, and an internet-fueled cycle of self-feeding paranoia. They predate even the airport's 1995 debut, but Jesse Ventura helped popularize them with a 2012 episode of his TV show Conspiracy Theory, and dozens of media outlets from ABC News to the Science Channel continue to report them on an annual basis. Not that the airport discourages the speculation. We have a CEO, Kim Day, who really embraces the conspiracy ideas, said Ed Montgomery, Senior Public Information Officer for DIA. We decided a few years ago that rather than fight all of this and try and convince everybody there's nothing really going on, let's have some fun with it. 2016 marks a turning point in the airport's marketing savvy. For the first time, DIA is featuring a modest, museum-style exhibition of the most notable and admittedly least controversial theories in honour of October as Conspiracy Month. Events have included a conspiracy-themed costume party and free close encounters of the third kind screening, chosen because the coordinates for the alien landing in the 1977 film supposedly point to DIA's location. In reality, it's an empty field 51 miles northwest of the airport. So let's look at a few of the various theories about Denver Airport. We begin with secret societies. So the theory is that the Freemasons, a centuries-old secret society, has controlled the airport ever since it opened, with ties to the New World Order, a group of global elites who wield power over international affairs. So the history, a dedication plaque at the airport's south entrance, near the Westin Hotel and RTD University of Colorado A-Line, dated March 19th, 1994, contains a time capsule symbol of the Freemasons, as well as a reference to the New World Airport Commission. Strange markings have also been noted around the airport, supposedly indicating secret or alien languages. But the facts, while the Freemasons are a legitimate fraternal organisation with civic ties to the airport's dedication, there's no evidence to suggest they have a hand in ongoing planning or decision-making at the civilian facility. Anti-Masonic conspiracies that date back more than a century were clearly dusted off and updated in advance of 2012's apocalypse fever. The time capsule, to be opened in 2094, contains coins, a signed opening day ball from Corsfield, Mayor Wellington Webb sneakers, and a few Black Hawk casino tokens, among other items. The New World Airport Commission was named by Charles Ansbacher, an arts advocate who died in 2010. The name is a reference to Dvorak New World Symphony, according to a 2007 Westword article, and the commission was created only to orchestrate DIA's opening festivities. The strange markings on Navajo language characters and references to other airport artists. Next up we have artistic clues to the apocalypse. The theory is that the airport's 40-piece public art collection, most notably its colourful 28-foot wide murals by artist Leo Danguma, its Notre Denver gargoyle sculptures near the east and west side baggage claim areas, and the Mustang sculpture near Pinya Boulevard are clues to a sinister influence at the airport, alternatively credited as Illuminati, Freemasons, New World Order, or Nazis. The history, like most DIA conspiracy theories, this one roughly parallels the rise of the internet at the time of the airport's opening, and has been given fuel over the years by radio hosts like George Noory, TV conspiracy backer Ventura, and many others. They point to Nazi or fascist imagery in Danguma's murals, the ominous and seemingly random nature of the gargoyles, and the fact that a portion of the 32-foot, 9,000-pound Mustang sculpture, which features glowing red eyes, interpreted as reference to the four horsemen of the apocalypse, fell on and killed its creator, Luis Jimenez. You know, I could read the facts for each of these, but call it false news, but I'm gonna leave it open. I think the fun, really, we know that most of these are rubbish, right? So why waste time debunking and spoiling the fun? Okay, next up we've got underground bunkers and aliens. So the theory goes, hidden beneath the airport's underground baggage transport tunnels is a secret bunker, or series of bunkers, designed to house billionaires and global political elite in the event of an apocalypse. Lizard people and or evidence of aliens are also thought to be lurking down there. The history, contractors who originally worked on the airport, which went over budget and opened 16 months behind schedule, reportedly saw evidence of bunker entrances and unexplained tunnels. A multi-million-dollar automated baggage system failed to work as designed, fueling doubts about the intent and scale of the construction. An alien drawing has appeared on the walls, and blurry footage of lizard people has appeared on conspiracy websites. If I can find all relevant images, I'll of course some remote locations is next. DIA's location, approximately 25 miles from downtown Denver. Swastika-shaped runway configuration and various barely concealed symbols of Nazism or fascism into any number of sinister plots, theorists say. Also, a tunnel is said to connect DIA to NORAD, nearly 100 miles to the south near Colorado Springs. Nazi conspiracy theories have been among the most popular online for the last 2 decades, and despite its recent tongue-in-cheek embrace of most conspiracies, DIA officials have shied from directly addressing them, which some see as a sign of their validity. We do have some subject matter that we wanted to either just avoid or tread very lightly with, said DIA's Kaufman, in response to a question about what made the cut for October's exhibit in the main terminal. Some things are worth debunking, others aren't. Yeah, I mean, to kind of come to the airport's defence a wee bit, you're not going to go throwing swastikas around the main part of your airport, really, are you? So, and there we go, those were a few. I think this has missed one. I mean, there's one theory that apparently it's the entrance to hell, and the gargoyles are the guards of hell, apparently. I really want to go to this airport and see some of the stuff for myself. But realistically, it's all... I mean, the swastika runway thing, it's like... I mean, like if you really look and tried, then yeah, maybe. But probably not. Right, next up, we've got a quick list of 10. This made me laugh when I found it. So basically there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding what exactly is kept in the Vatican, in the secret archives. So here are 10 diabolical things that conspiracy theorists posit are hidden away at the Vatican. Strap in. Number 1. I didn't read this ahead of time. Number 1 is the world's largest porn collection. One of the most intriguing rumours surrounding the Vatican secret archives involves the existence of the world's largest porn collection. Though claims from sources such as Copenhagen's Museum Erotica, William F. Buckley Jr. and Camille Paglia have surfaced, verifying such allegations remains challenging. Nevertheless, there is historical evidence of erotic art within the Vatican, such as the infamous 16th century frescoes depicting explicit sexual positions in Cardinal Bibbiana's private bathroom. Well, there we go. Case closed. The Vatican is full of porn. Number 2, the Essene Gospel of Peace. Am I saying that right? The Essene Gospel of Peace. E-double-S-E-N-E. A fascinating theory revolves around the Essene Gospel of Peace, an alleged ancient Aramaic manuscript found by Edmund Bordeaux Szekely in 1923. Szekely claimed this document contained teachings from the Essenes, a Jewish mystical sect with striking similarities to Jesus' teachings. However, skepticism surrounds the existence of this manuscript, with many suspecting it was a fabrication to support Szekely's vegetarian activism. Number 3, details of Jesus' bloodline. The notion that the Vatican possesses information regarding the bloodline of Jesus Christ has captivated many minds. The idea of Jesus being married with descendants has been a topic of speculation, and if such information were ever revealed, it could potentially shake the foundations of the Church's hierarchy. Number 4. present in the Vatican secret archives. This grimoire supposedly contains dark rituals for summoning entities from the underworld, including the Prime Minister of Hell, Lucifuge Rovagale. The dark allure of this mysterious tome has garnered much interest among occultists and seekers of forbidden knowledge. Number 5. The Third Secret of Fatima. The enigmatic Third Secret of Fatima, a prophetic vision received by 3 shepherd children in Portugal in 1917, has remained shrouded in secrecy. Despite partial revelations over the years, speculation persists that the Vatican might still withhold the full prophecy, with some believing it predicts an apocalyptic battle between good and evil, deeply involving the Pope. Number 6. Extraterrestrial artifacts. Surprisingly, the Vatican has shown openness to the idea of extraterrestrial life, engaging in scientific discussions and using the Vatican Observatory for astrobiological research. Rumours claim that the Vatican has long known about alien civilizations and has collected ET artifacts and technical documents for alien weaponry. However, concrete evidence for this remains lacking. Number 7 is the chronovisor. Father Pellegrino Enetti claimed to have invented the chronovisor, a device capable of viewing past events, including moments from biblical history. While this claim lacks solid evidence, the tantalizing idea of witnessing historical events through a time-warping lens has captured imaginations. The Devil in the Vatican. As the Vatican's senior exorcist, Father Gabriele Amorth believed the devil resided within the Vatican itself, influencing scandals and corruption. While such claims might be seen as figurative by some, others maintain that the devil's influence can be traced within certain events in the Church's history. Number 9. Proof that Jesus wasn't crucified. A controversial theory suggests that Jesus was not crucified as described in the Bible, but instead escaped execution through an elaborate deception involving Pontius Pilate. While this theory lacks concrete evidence, I don't think we need to keep saying that, it raises intriguing questions about historical interpretations of significant events. And number 2, I know, we finish with 10, not 2. Number 10 is proof that Pope Pius helped Hitler XIIs at 12. I really need to learn my numerals. The role of Pope Pius during the Nazi era has been the subject of intense debate. Some claim that he covertly supported the Nazis, while others argue that he worked to protect Jews from extermination. Limited access to historical documents concerning this period has fueled speculation and conspiracy theories. So there you have it. 10 possible things that could be in the Vatican secret archives. Pretty likely nothing's in there. Well, there's stuff in there, but none of those diabolical 10, basically. Right, on to the next one. Right, our next one is about Walt Disney being frozen. So, how a strange rumour of Walt Disney's death became a legend. When you hear Disney on Ice, you may think of the wildly popular ice shows featuring Mickey and Minnie Mouse and others skating in hockey arenas across the nation. And I used to love that, my goodness me, I think I went twice to that. I also saw Thomas the Tank Engine on Ice once, and you don't changed. Anyway. But there's also the disturbing urban legend that Walt Disney's corpse was frozen in a cryonic chamber containing liquid nitrogen to be revived at a later date. I mean, this says this week 52 years ago, but this article was written in 2018. Television and radio broadcasts shared the news that Walter Elias Disney had died. The cartoon mogul who created Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and produced some of Hollywood's greatest hits, dreamed up Disneyland and Disney World, and was one of the world's most beloved storytellers. He was 65. It is hard to pin down exactly when the rumours began. In early 1967, a few weeks after Disney's death, on December 15, 1966, a reporter for a tabloid newspaper called the National Spotlight claimed he had snuck into St. Joseph's Hospital in Burbank, directly across the street from the Disney studios, and where he was treated during his final illness. As the story went, the reporter disguised himself as an orderly, broke into a storage room, and saw the deceased Disney suspended in a cryogenic metal cylinder. In 1969, the French magazine Iti Paris, and later still the National Tatler in the US, advanced the rumours by predicting Disney would be thawed out in 1975. Some went as far as to claim that his burial spot was a freezer stored underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. I'd personally want to be buried under It's a Small World, but... And then there were several former Disney employees who continued to spread false stories about Disney's supposed big freeze. During the 1990s, these now discredited legends were codified as expert quotes in a couple of less than reliable Disney biographies. To be sure, Disney was a science fiction fan who looked forward to future advances in science, technology and medicine. His creation of Epcot, experimental prototype community of tomorrow, was originally designed to demonstrate how Americans would live, work and survive in the future. And Disney couldn't help but raise some eyebrows with the last film he produced. Sensing his impending demise, he ordered the cameras to roll as he addressed his department heads one last time. Seated at his famous desk, just like he did during his television show that aired each Sunday evening, a smiling Walt appeared to make laser beam eye contact with each colleague as he told them that he expected what he expected of their performance in the future, and that he hoped to see them soon. Some have speculated that he had read or heard of Robert C.W. Ettinger's 1964 book, The Prospect of Immortality, which synthesized both believable and less likely ideas about cryonics. That book and many others like it that appeared long after Disney's death predicted a day when medical science advanced enough to repair the damage to the once deceased riddle person who was frozen, allowing cryonic experts to thaw them out and bring them back to life. For the record, there is no solid evidence to suggest that Disney was frozen. The website Snopes.com has produced a superb point-by-point analysis refuting virtually every aspect of the cryogenics and Walt Disney legend. Perhaps the most convincing conclusion comes from Disney's daughter Diane, who wrote in 1972, "There is absolutely no truth that my father wished to be frozen. I doubt that my father had ever heard of cryonics." In truth, Walt Disney was cremated 2 days after his death, and an urn containing his ashes were interred at the family mausoleum in the Forest Lawn Cemetery of Glendale, California. It was a small private service attended only only by his wife Lillian, his daughters and their husbands and children. Well, the rest is all about what he was like as a guy. I don't really need to read his obituary, no offence, Walt Disney, you've given us some classics. Isn't there another theory that he was a Nazi? I probably didn't really need to bring that one up, really, did I? I've just credited the movies he's helped make and, basically calling him a fascist. Never mind. Yeah, I don't think he's frozen, although I kind of love the idea of him being frozen under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, whichever Disney worker, put that into the universe. You have my nod of approval. Next up we have the Philadelphia experiment. What is the true story? Invisible ships, aliens, top secret missions, a government conspiracy, and Albert Einstein. The Philadelphia experiment had it all. But what was the story of the USS Eldridge? And was it a hoax or science fiction brought to life? The Philadelphia experiment, sometimes known as the USS Eldridge conspiracy, has all the trappings of a sci-fi blockbuster. Indeed, it became the subject of one starring Michael Paré in 1984. If it's to be believed, this top-secret test of alien invisibility technology was carried out at the height of the Second World War, under the direction of Albert Einstein himself, ending in both success and catastrophe. If it's deemed a hoax, it is one whose ramifications have been long-term and widespread. So which is it? The Philadelphia conspiracy was an alleged top-secret government project codenamed Operation Rainbow, carried out under the auspices of Albert Einstein in accordance with his unified field theory. Its objective was to test alien invisibility technology. It was 1943, the midst of World War II, and the US was seeking an advantage to help them win the Battle of the Atlantic. And so one day that year, often cited as 28th of October 1943, the new deck was supposedly fitted onto the USS Eldridge, which was docked at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. It's said that those on nearby ships witnessed the generators of the Eldridge begin to hum, a green-blue hue. Some said a fog or a glow emanated from the destroyer's hull, and in an instant the ship simply vanished. It said the ship reappeared again just as suddenly, but only after it was spotted materializing out of thin air, over 200 miles away, at Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia, before then vanishing a second time. If true, surely the Philadelphia experiment had been a resounding success. Not only did it render an entire Cannon-class destroyer escort ship invisible, but it teleported it over 200 miles away and back again. However, there was more to the story than simply this astonishing tale. It was said that classified military documents revealed far darker implications. When the USS Eldridge rematerialized in Philadelphia, members of its crew suffered injuries ranging from minor to catastrophic. Nausea, disorientation, insanity, third-degree burns, and mysterious illnesses were all cited. The most alarming effects regarded crew being found fused to parts of the ship, some of them still alive. So what were the origins of this conspiracy? According to the story, there were many witnesses to the Philadelphia experiment. People who saw the ship's disappearance and reappearance. And yet only one witness came forward, and it was not until the 1950s that details of it began to emerge. In fact, all information about the Philadelphia conspiracy derives from a single source. That was a man by the name of Carl Meredith Allen. In 1956, Carl Allen began writing what would be hundreds of letters to Morris K. Jessup, the author of a book called The Case for the UFO. Going by the name Carlos Allende, he tried to convince Jessup to stop the research he was then conducting on Albert Einstein's incomplete unified field theory. As part of this, he informed Jessup of the USS Eldridge conspiracy, claiming to have witnessed the test himself while working on a ship called the SS Andrew Furuseth as a deckhand. When Jessup attempted to get more information from Allen, he was unable to provide any evidence for his claims. At around the same time, the US Office of Naval Research received an anonymous package labeled Happy Easter. Inside was a copy of Jessup's book, heavily annotated by what appeared to be 3 different contributors, each in different shades of blue and referring to each other as gypsies. The notes within related to UFOs, purporting to have knowledge of extraterrestrial life on Earth, and suggesting that Jessup's research on unified field theory was too close to some alien technology. There were also several allusions to the Philadelphia experiment. In a strange twist that served only to enhance belief in the Philadelphia conspiracy, 2 agents at the ONR took it upon themselves to privately print many copies of the annotated book, which became known in certain circles as the Faro version. So, investigating the theory, in 1957, the ONR invited Jessup to view the annotated copy of his book. He confirmed that the annotations matched the handwriting in Allen's letters. It has since been confirmed that it was Allen who sent the package to the ONR, and in 1969, he even admitted to writing all of the annotations. His aim, to scare the hell out of Jessup and deter him from continuing his investigation of unified field theory, which Allen viewed as dangerous. He later retracted this admission. So who was Carlos Allende, aka Carl Allen? For a long time that answer was as elusive as the man himself. In fact, nothing was known about him until a journalist called Robert Gurman wrote about the man in 1980. Gurman, apparently realizing an old family connection with Allen, interviewed the man's family and described him as a creative and imaginative loner. According to Gurman, Allen had a history of mental illness which he speculated might have been behind any fabrications. Or maybe he really did see the boat disappear and reappear, but he was the only witness, so they made sure everybody else in the world viewed him as crazy. What am I even saying? Here we have the Black Knight satellite conspiracy, uncovering the 120-year-old alien mystery. According to conspiracy theorists, the Black Knight satellite is an alien spacecraft orbiting Earth. Here's what's really going on. Some news report introductions are so unexpected that they make you pause and reread to ensure you understood them correctly. This was the case on March 21st, 2017, when the Mail Online reported alien satellite set up more than 12,000 years ago to spy on humans has been shot down by elite soldiers from the Illuminati, UFO hunters claim. With that, the conspiracy surrounding the so-called Black Knight satellite appeared to be alive and well. It's been more than 120 years, conspiracists believe, since the existence of the Black Knight was first recorded. Those who subscribe to the theory invoke an extraterrestrial spacecraft in near polar orbit of Earth, although they draw upon pieces of evidence so disparate that it's not entirely clear why people link them. What it all amounts to is a strange brew that has spurred some folks to shout about cover-ups by NASA and other government entities. It's a legend that refuses to go away. A lot of the earliest discoveries that have been linked to the Black Knight satellite theory relate to radio signals, but a series of images from 1998 really threw the celestial cat among the pigeons. They were taken during STS-88, the first space shuttle mission to the International Space Station. There for all to see were images released by NASA that showed a black object hovering above our planet in low Earth orbit. And it wasn't long after the images were thrust in front of a hopeful public before people were performing some conspiratorial sums and sharing them with the wider world. By way of explanation, STS-88 astronaut Jerry Ross pointed out that the ISS was in the midst of being constructed when the images were taken. The US team, he said, was on its way to attach the American module to the one created by the Russians, and as part of that work, they had taken 4 trunnion pin thermal covers with them. The task was to wrap these around 4 bare trunnion pins, these being rods that attached the module to the Space Shuttle Endeavour while it was being transported. Apologies if you might have heard some music. I think a video on this website just started playing. This would act to prevent heat loss from the exposed metal. Unfortunately, during one of the spacewalks associated with this work, things went a little bit wrong. One of the covers came loose from its tether, causing it to float away along with some other items. Jerry, one of the thermal covers got away from you, STS-88 Commander Robert Cabana told Ross during the spacewalk, and it soon became apparent that the cover was lost for good. Subsequently captured on camera, this runaway black object was given the catalogue number 025570 by NASA. A few days later, the item fell from orbit and burned up. Much of this information has been placed on the record. Former NASA engineer James Oberg, who personally knows Ross and the person who took the photos, cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev, has demonstrated that these supposed images of the Black Knight actually depict a very mundane object. Right, next up, a big one. Hitler wasn't killed, but he escaped to Argentina. So some works claim that Hitler and Braun did not commit suicide, but actually escaped to Argentina. We begin with Philip Citron's claims. A declassified CIA document dated 3rd of October 1955 reported claims made by a self-proclaimed former German SS trooper named Philip Citron that Hitler was still alive and that he left Colombia for Argentina around January 1955. Enclosed with the document was an alleged photo of Citron and a person he claimed to be Hitler. On the back of the the photo was written Adolf Schüttelmeier and the year 1954. The report also states that neither the contact who reported his conversations with Citron nor the CIA station was in a position to give an intelligent evaluation of the information. The station's chief's superiors told him that enormous efforts could be expended on this matter with remote possibilities of establishing anything concrete, and the investigation was dropped. So, the 2011 book Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler by British authors Simon Dunstan and Gerard Williams, and the 2014 docudrama film by Williams based on it, suggest that a number of U-boats took certain Nazis and Nazi loot to Argentina, where the Nazis were supported by future President Juan Perón, who, with his wife Evita, had been receiving money from the Nazis for some time. As reported claims received by the FBI stated, Hitler allegedly arrived in Argentina, first staying at Hacienda San Ramon, then moved to a Bavarian-style mansion at Inalco, a remote and barely accessible spot at the northwest end of Nahuel Huapi Lake, close to the Chilean border. Eva Braun supposedly left Hitler around 1954 and moved to Nicuen with their daughter Ursula, while Hitler allegedly died in February 1962. The book passingly asserts that Bormann gave the US Office of Strategic Services stolen art and military secrets in exchange for Hitler's life. This theory of Hitler's flight to Argentina has been dismissed by historians, including Guy Walters. He has described Dunstan and Williams's theory as rubbish, adding there's no substance to it at all. It appeals to the deluded fantasies of conspiracy theorists and has no place whatsoever in historical research. Walters contended that it is simply impossible to believe that so many people could keep such a grand-scale deception so quiet, and says that no serious historian would give the story any credibility. On the History Channel series Hunting Hitler, 2015 to 2018, investigators, including Gerard Williams, cite declassified documents and interview witnesses which allegedly indicate that Hitler escaped from Germany and travelled to South America by U-boats. He and other Nazis then allegedly plotted a Fourth Reich. Such conspiracy theories of survival and escape have been widely dismissed. Contradictorily, in 2017 the series was praised by the tabloid-style National Police Gazette, which historically was a supporter of the fringe theory, while calling on Russia to allow Hitler's jawbone remains to be DNA tested. After being featured on the series as an expert on World War II, author James Holland explained that I was very careful never to mention on film that I thought either Hitler or Bormann escaped, because they didn't. I don't really know how I feel about that one. I mean, it's probably very, very unlikely that he did. Is there a picture? If I just said Hitler escaped, if I can find that image that was mentioned in the thing I read, I'll put it up, but I can't seem to find it right now. Right, moving on. We now have Project Bluebeam. claims that NASA is attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via a technologically simulated second coming. So pretty basic. The allegations were presented in 1994 by Quebecois journalist and conspiracy theorist Serge Monast, and later published in his book Project Bluebeam. Proponents of the theory allege that Monast and another unnamed journalist, who both died of heart attacks in 1996, were in fact assassinated, and that the Canadian government kidnapped Monast's daughter in an effort to dissuade him from investigating Project Bluebeam. The project was apparently supposed to be implemented in 1983, but it didn't happen. It was then set for implementation in 1995, then 96, and it still didn't happen. Finally, Monast thought the Project Bluebeam would be brought to fruition by the year 2000, and well, you can probably guess the rest. So, what exactly was this theory? So, the alleged purpose of Project Bluebeam is to bring about a global New Age religion, which is seen as a core requirement for the New World Order's dictatorship to be realized. There's nothing new in thinking of religion as a form of control, but the existence of multiple religions, spin-off cults, competing sects, and atheists suggests that controlling the population entirely through a single religion isn't particularly easy. Past attempts have required mechanisms of totalitarianism such as Inquisition. Monast's theory, however, suggests using sufficiently advanced technology to trick people into believing. Of course, the plan would have to assume that people could never fathom the trick at all, something contested by anyone sane enough not to swallow this particular conspiracy. The primary claimed perpetrator of Project Bluebeam is NASA, presented as a large and mostly faceless organization that can readily absorb such frankly odd accusations, aided by the United Nations, another old-time boogeyman of conspiracy theorists. According to Monast, the project has 4 steps. But Monast, what are they? Right, step 1. Step 1 requires the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. This will apparently be accomplished by faking earthquakes at precise locations around the planet. Fake new discoveries at these locations will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines, specifically Christian and Muslim doctrines. This makes some degree of sense. If you want to thoroughly usurp a current way of thinking, you need to completely discredit and destroy it before putting forward your own. However, religious belief is notoriously resilient to things like facts. The Shroud of Turin is a famous example that is still believed by many to be a genuine Shroud of Jesus, as opposed to the medieval forgery that it has been conclusively shown to be. Prayer studies do show how difficult it is to shift religious conviction with mere observational fact. Indeed, many theologians avoid making falsifiable claims or place belief somewhere specifically beyond observation to aid this. So what finds could possibly fundamentally destroy both Christianity and Islam, almost overnight and universally all across the globe? Probably nothing. Yet, this is the only step of an increasingly ludicrous set of events that Project Bluebeam predicts will occur. Step number 2 now. Step number 2 involves a gigantic space show wherein three-dimensional holographic laser projections will be beamed all over the planet. And this is where Bluebeam really takes off. The projections will take the shape of whatever deity is most predominant and will speak in all languages. At the end of this light show, the gods will all merge into one god, the Antichrist. This is a rather baffling plan, as it seems to assume that people will think this is actually their god, rather than the more natural 21st century assumption that it is a particularly opaque Coca-Cola advertisement. Evidence commonly advanced for this is a supposed plan to project the face of Allah, despite its contradiction with Muslim belief of God's uniqueness, over Baghdad in 1991, to tell the Iraqis to overthrow Saddam Hussein. Someone, somewhere, must have thought that those primitive, ignorant, non-Western savages wouldn't have had television or advertising and would never guess it was being done with mirrors. In general, pretty much anything that either A involves light or B has been seen in the sky has been put forward as evidence that Project Bluebeam is real. And such things are tests of the technology. This stage will apparently be accomplished by the aid of a Soviet computer that will be fed with the minute physio-psychological particulars based on their studies of the anatomy and electromechanical composition of the human body, and the studies of the electrical, chemical, biological properties of the human brain. The Soviets are the New World Order people. Why NASA would use a Soviet computer when the USSR had to import or copy much of its computer technology from the West is not detailed. The second part of step 2, wouldn't that be step 3, the article says, happens when the holograms result in the dissolution of social and religious order, setting loose millions of programmed religious fanatics throughout demonic possession on a scale never witnessed before. The United Nations plans to use Beethoven's Ode to Joy as the anthem for the introduction of the New Age One World religion. It's a good tune. Right. There is relatively little to debunk in this. The most widely remembered section of Project Bluebeam conspiracy, as the idea is so infeasible, citing actual existing communication technology is odd if the point is for the end product to appear magical, rather than just as cheap laser projections onto clouds. Right, step 3. Step 3 is telepathic electronic two-way communication. It involves making people think their God is speaking to them through telepathy, projected into the head of each person individually using extreme low-frequency radio waves. Atheists will presumably hear an absence of Richard Dawkins, it says. The book goes to some lengths to describe how this would be feasible, including a claim that ELF thought projection caused the depressive illness of Michael Dukakis' wife, Kitty. Step 4. Step 4 has 3 parts. Number 1. Making humanity think an alien invasion is about to occur in every major city. Number 2. Making the Christians think the rapture is about to happen. And number 3. A mixture of electronic and supernatural forces, allowing the supernatural forces to travel through fiber optics, coax, power and telephone lines to penetrate all electronic equipment and appliances that will by then all have a special microchip installed. Then desperate to accept the new world order. The techniques used in the fourth step is exactly the same used in the past in the USSR to force the people to accept communism, he says. A device has apparently already been perfected that will lift enormous numbers of people, as in a rapture. Alien abductions are tests of this device. Project Bluebeam proponents believe psychological preparations have already been made. Monast, having claimed the 2001 Space Odyssey, Star Wars and the Star Trek series, all involve an invasion from space and all nations coming together. The first two don't, the third is peaceful contact. And that Jurassic Park propagandizes evolution in order to make people think God's words are lies. Right. So what is this new world order according to Monast? So the book detailed the theory. In the 1994 lecture, Monast detailed what would happen afterward. All people will be required to take an oath to Lucifer with a ritual initiation to enter the new world order. Resistors will be categorized as follows. Number 1. Christian children will be kept for human sacrifice. Number 2. Prisoners to be used in medical experiments. Number 3. Prisoners to be used as living organ banks. Number 4. Healthy workers in slave labour camps. Number 5. Uncertain prisoners in the International Re-Education Centre, thence to repent on television and learn to glorify the New World Order. 6. The International Execution Centre. And 7. An as yet unknown 7th classification. If you've come up with this, how is that unknown? Well, what was the actual source of this theory? Joel Engel's book Gene Roddenberry, The Myth and the Man Behind Star Trek was released in 1994, shortly before Monast's lecture on Project Bluebeam. It says, in May 1975, Gene Roddenberry accepted an offer from Paramount to develop Star Trek into a feature film, and moved back into his old office on the Paramount lot. His proposed story told of a flying saucer hovering above Earth that was programmed to send down people who looked like prophets, including Jesus Christ. All the steps of the conspiracy theory were in the unmade mid-70s Star Trek film script by Roddenberry, which were recycled for the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Devil's Due, broadcast in 1991. There is no evidence of deliberate fraud on Monast's part, given that his head was quite thoroughly full of squirrels and confetti by this time. It's entirely plausible that he thought that this was the revelation of secret information in a guise safe for propagation. However, the actual source was so obvious that even other conspiracy theorists noticed. They confidently state it was obvious that Monast had been fed deceptive information by the CIA, of course. And there we have it. That was one of them that I had never heard of. It's just, I liked that one to end on because it kind of like brought together all different aspects like New World Order, End of the World, aliens, conspiracy technology, like all good elements that make like a pretty solid and an entertaining conspiracy theory. That was a lot of fun. There are so many conspiracy theories out there, like I know the typical ones are like 9/11, ancient Egypt, who shot JFK, that kind of thing, but there are so many like different ones. I want to do this again. I find these videos, so I forgot how much fun the conspiracy theories were. And I think the next one I do, I'll do another long one. But I might do like 1 hour of conspiracy theories you've never heard of, and I'll try and find like the most obscure, small ones. Maybe I'll just make them up. No, I won't. But let me know if that's something you'd like to see. And we'll get it done. But yeah, that is, I think that's going to do it for tonight's video. Hopefully we're at about an hour if I've done my maths correctly. If we're just below, I'll chuck it in the title anyway, good for the search terms. But anyways guys, I really hope you did enjoy this video. If you did and you are able to, then please do give it a like and subscribe